Have you ever been in a situation where you were actually penalized for doing your job too efficiently? Like, you figure out this brilliant shortcut.
Oh yeah, you finish a massive project in half the time.
Right. And instead of a bonus, your boss either hands you twice as much work for the exact same pay, or worse, starts questioning why they even need you around for 40 hours a week.
It is the absolute worst feeling.
It really is.
It
Now,
is.
take that incredibly frustrating personal scenario and scale it up to an entire global industry. What happens when a multi-billion-dollar profession has its fundamental business model suddenly broken by that exact kind of extreme efficiency?
That is the million-dollar question right now.
Exactly. Welcome to today's deep dive. Today, we are exploring a really profound analysis by AI expert Johan Steyn. The piece is titled Legal AI is Colliding with the Billable Hour, and that changes everything. And it zeroes in on this quiet commercial crisis unfolding right now behind the polished mahogany doors of the world's biggest law firms.
And it is a crisis. I mean, the legal industry usually modernizes, well, slowly and then suddenly. But we have to differentiate between what is happening now and past technological leaps.
Which is exactly why we are doing this deep dive for you, the learner. Because we know you love exploring these massive paradigm shifts without getting bogged down in all the dense technical jargon. Our mission today is to figure out exactly what clients are actually paying for when AI can do hours of legal work in mere minutes.
To set the stage here, think about the rise of e-discovery.
Oh, right, when the industry shifted from literal cardboard boxes of paper to digital databases.
Exactly. When that happened, it actually created a massive windfall for law firms. Suddenly, there were millions of digital emails and files to search through for a single case.
So the firms could just assign armies of junior associates to bill thousands of hours just reading screens.
Right, e-discovery digitized the work, but it didn't reduce the human time required to process it. Generative AI is fundamentally different. It doesn't just digitize legal work, it compresses it. It shrinks the actual time required to perform the intellectual labor.
It's a total collapse of time. Steyn points out that core foundational legal tasks, like drafting the first round of a complex commercial contract, or doing deep case law research, or summarizing massive litigation matters, those have reliably eaten up dozens of hours of associate time for generations.
Decades, really.
Yeah, and now those exact same tasks are moving from taking hours to taking literally minutes, which on the surface sounds like a massive breakthrough.
It is a breakthrough, but in an industry where time literally equals money, compressing time is a very dangerous thing to do to your own business model.
Okay, let's unpack this, because Steyn calls this the success problem.
Yes, the success problem. Law firms operate on a traditional leverage pyramid. The partners at the top make their profit off the thousands of hours billed by the associates and paralegals at the bottom.
All right, so the entire economic structure rests on a very simple assumption, that effort equals output.
And time spent is the best proxy for that effort. So consider the friction here. You introduce an AI specialist into a major law firm. This person does their job perfectly. They implement a sophisticated legal AI tool, they train the staff, and they successfully reduce a 100-hour document review to a 1-hour task.
But by succeeding, they just obliterated 99 hours of billable revenue.
Exactly. They inadvertently undermine the very billing model that funds everyone's paychecks. By successfully reducing the time it takes to do the work, they are actively destroying the firm's primary source of revenue.
They are essentially succeeding their way into a financial crisis for the firm.
That's a perfect way to put it. And if you are listening to this, consider the implications. If a contract draft takes 20 minutes instead of 3 hours, why should the client pay the same amount?
Right. If I'm a managing partner at one of these firms and I see this technology destroying my billable hours, my first instinct would be to just ban the AI. Why wouldn't the firm just keep doing things the old way? Keep billing the 100 hours and protect their revenue stream?
Because the market simply won't let them. The clients are fully aware of this technology. Put yourself in the shoes of a corporate client. Last year, your outside counsel told you a standard commercial contract would take 3 hours, and they billed you for 3 hours of a senior associate's time at $800 an hour.
Ouch.
Yeah. Today, you know for a fact they are using an enterprise AI system that can generate that exact same first draft in 20 minutes. Why in the world should you pay the old rate?
You wouldn't. The old pricing logic completely falls apart under client scrutiny.
It completely crumbles. How does the law firm survive if the hours just disappear?
Here's where it gets really interesting, because they have to adapt. The market is actively forcing firms to figure out a new way to charge for their services.
And we are seeing that shift happen right now.
Yeah, Sten's article points to some major external reports validating this. He cites a late 2025 report from the Economic Times, noting that AI is putting immense pressure on the billable hour, and it's actively pushing firms to reconsider value-based or flat fee models.
And there was a December 2025 piece from Forbes that argued the exact same thing. Because of AI's massive speed advantage, fixed fee billing is becoming increasingly inevitable.
Time is rapidly becoming a very weak proxy for value.
Exactly. But transitioning a century-old partnership model to flat fees is a massive structural hurdle for these firms.
I can imagine they've distributed profits based on build hours for generations, right?
Generations. Their entire internal accounting system, their partner compensation, their performance reviews, it is all built on 6-minute increments of time.
That is so deeply ingrained in their culture.
It is. So to suddenly quote a client a flat fee of $50,000 for an acquisition requires a level of project management and cost scoping that traditional law firms historically haven't needed.
Because if they miscalculate how complex the job is, the firm eats the loss.
It's exactly.
So if time is out and they are moving to these fixed fee packages, what is the client actually buying? If I'm paying 50 grand, what is that for?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this transition fundamentally changes the product a law firm is selling. We are moving from a world that prices time to a world that prices predictability and risk transfer.
Risk transfer, that makes a lot of sense.
It is crucial to understand that a fixed fee world does not simply mean cheaper law. When a client pays a flat fee for legal services in an AI-driven environment, they aren't paying for the 15 minutes of computational typing.
Right.
They're paying for the malpractice insurance policy the firm holds if that contract is wrong.
They are paying for the liability shield.
Exactly. The firm is taking on the risk of delivering the correct outcome. They're rewarded for their internal efficiency. If they use AI to get to the right answer faster, they keep a larger profit margin.
But they are still being held to incredibly strict professional standards.
Absolutely. If the AI makes a mistake and blows up a merger, the liability falls entirely on the law firm, not the software developer.
Which means law firm leaders must treat pricing innovation as seriously as they treat AI adoption. The goal is no longer pricing hours worked, but pricing value delivered.
Spot on.
But wait, I have to stop you there. This brings up a major reality check.
Okay.
If the AI is doing a 10-hour drafting job in 10 minutes, who is actually checking the AI's work? Because if I'm that corporate client paying for the liability shield, I am terrified of a machine making $1 million typo that my lawyer just rubber stamps to save time.
And you should be terrified. That is the central friction of this entire transition. Our sources introduce this dynamic as the verification burden.
The verification burden.
Yes. The AI might be incredibly fast, but it is not a licensed attorney. It has no fiduciary duty to the client, and it is the opposite of infallible. Speed without rigorous human verification carries very real, very severe legal consequences.
Lawyers simply cannot outsource their professional accountability to a machine.
They can't.
And we have hard proof of what happens when they try. The sources include a report from Reuters in February 2026, where a U.S. appeals court actually ordered a lawyer to pay a $2,500 fine.
Oh, that case.
Yeah, the lawyer submitted a legal brief that was filled with fabricated and misrepresented citations. They used an AI tool. The AI hallucinated the case law to make its argument look stronger.
And the lawyer didn't even catch it. They just handed a robot's hallucination straight to a federal judge.
Which is the ultimate nightmare scenario for a legal professional.
It is a profound cautionary tale. It perfectly illustrates why the billable hour isn't just evaporating, it is mutating. The more AI is used to generate text and research, the more robust human processes are needed to validate those outputs.
So the time doesn't disappear, it just changes shape.
Exactly. A significant portion of the time that was saved on the initial drafting phase is simply being reallocated. It shifts into fact-checking, documenting the AI's logic, cross-referencing definitions, and governing the overall process.
Just to ensure no hallucinations slip through to the client or the court.
Right. The billable hour hasn't vanished entirely. It has shifted its focus from the act of creation to the act of verification.
So instead of charging me to write the essay, they are charging me to relentlessly fact-check the robot that wrote the essay.
Pretty much.
But even with that shift toward verification, the human consequences inside these firms are already playing out, and it is not subtle. The sources reference a report from The Guardian in November 2025 regarding Clifford Chance.
One of the largest law firms in the world.
Right, and they cut 10% of their London back office roles, explicitly tying the cuts to their embrace of AI and a shift in how legal work is delivered.
When a firm of that magnitude makes a structural cut like that, it sends shockwaves through the entire industry. As Johan Steyn notes in his analysis, this is not a minor technology update. It is a fundamental restructuring of the legal operating model.
Right, because we have to look at what those back office roles actually do.
Exactly. These are the paralegals, the junior researchers, the administrative staff who historically handled the manual labor of Bates, stamping, redlining documents, basic summarization, and formatting.
The exact manual, repetitive tasks that generative AI is specifically designed to consume.
The infrastructure of law firm is being rebuilt before our eyes. The volume of human capital required to process basic legal information is dropping permanently. It proves that the shift away from purely human-generated legal work is already past the point of no return.
So what does this all mean? If you are listening to this right now and you are a business owner, an in-house counsel, or just someone who occasionally needs to hire outside legal help, your relationship with your lawyer has to change.
Radically change.
You can no longer just hand over a retainer and accept a vague, itemized bill of hours. You have to start asking very specific questions about their workflow.
Demanding radical transparency is the biggest opportunity for the corporate client right now. You need to ask your outside counsel to explicitly define their verification process.
Like, if they are feeding your sensitive corporate data, say, details of an unannounced merger into a generative AI tool, you need to know what data exactly is being shared.
And where is it going? Most importantly, they must clearly define what parts of the workflow are being fully automated and what parts are still relying on seasoned human judgment.
We see this tension reflected perfectly in the Norton Rose Fulbright 2026 Annual Litigation Trends Survey.
That survey is incredibly revealing.
It really is. It captures the mindset of corporate legal teams, showing that organizations are broadly receptive to their outside counsel using generative AI. They aren't afraid of the technology. They actually love the cost and time efficiencies it promises.
But concurrently, many of those same organizations see AI-related risk management as a massive challenge.
They want the efficiency of the machine, but they demand the assurance of the human expert.
They want the fixed fees and the speed, but they are deeply concerned about data privacy leaks and the kind of catastrophic hallucination errors we saw in that U.S. appeals court case.
This demand for transparency extends far beyond corporate legal departments, though.
It does. What's fascinating here is Steyn's point in his article regarding his home country of South Africa. He connects this corporate billing crisis to the global issue of unequal legal access.
Right, because in many parts of the world, cost pressure is an overwhelming reality. If you can't afford $400 an hour for a lawyer to review a basic eviction notice or a small claims dispute, you effectively don't get representation.
High hourly rates price a massive percentage of the population out of the justice system.
But AI has the raw capability to change that math entirely.
It really does. If these tools can radically reduce the internal cost of producing routine, basic legal work, it could theoretically democratize access to legal services on a global scale.
Suddenly, drafting a simple lease agreement or a basic defense document doesn't take hours of expensive human labor.
Right. Firms could offer these services at a fraction of their historical cost, opening up representation to people who were previously priced out.
But Steyn issues a stark warning about that potential. This democratization only happens if the legal market doesn't respond to AI by simply hiding their new efficiencies behind opaque billing practices.
That is the critical catch. If a firm uses AI to do a job in 10 minutes but continues to bill the client for 3 hours under a veil of secrecy, the societal benefit is entirely lost.
The efficiency just pads the firm's profit margins while the public continues to be priced out.
The technology alone doesn't solve the access problem. The billing and transparency models have to change with it.
It is the ultimate test of industry ethics. Will they pass the savings on, or will they just build a wider moat around their services?
We'll have to wait and see how the market regulates itself.
To bring this all together, the core takeaway from our sources today is undeniable. The collision with the billable hour isn't just a side effect of artificial intelligence. It is the main event.
It's the whole ballgame.
The law firms that survive and thrive in this new era are the ones that figure out how to pair AI-driven speed with rigorous human assurance. They will embrace transparent verification processes, and they will adopt pricing models that match the outcomes they deliver, rather than relying on the inertia of tradition.
The future of legal work is absolutely still going to be human-led, but it is going to be priced very differently.
Before we wrap up this deep dive, do you have any final thoughts?
I do. Consider the broader implications of what we've discussed today. We've spent this time examining how AI is forcing the legal profession to shift from billing for time to billing for trust and risk transfer. But think about the rest of the knowledge economy.
Right.
What other professions built entirely on the foundation of hourly wages are next? Think about management consulting, where armies of analysts bill by the hour to synthesize market data.
Or accounting and audit firms.
Exactly. Think about freelance writers, graphic designers, or independent software coders. If artificial intelligence can compress the time it takes to deliver value in all of those fields, every single one of those industries is about to face this exact same existential crisis. How will they prove their worth when the clock stops ticking?
That is a fascinating question to leave off on. The ripple effects of this compression of time are going to touch almost every corner of the modern workforce. Thank you for joining us on this custom deep dive into the end of the billable hour. We hope it gave you exactly the insights you were looking for. Stay curious, keep exploring, and never stop questioning the systems around you.